Hi, you guys. So I'm getting ready for the hurricane. And so I'm doing some of this video a little earlier than I normally do, just the beginning part. But what I wanted to tell you is that many of you were worried that I was going to be on the wrong side of history with Alexis Bellino being on the Real Housewives of Orange County. And somehow in my video last week, I was sticking up for Alexis Bellino. But I want you guys to know I was sticking up for Alexis Bellino in the fact that I don't think cast members should use their casting status against a fellow cast member. And it's like a go-to move for some reason. For example, are you on the show? Are you off the show? Are you current? Are you not current? How many seasons did you do? How many seasons did you not do? Were you iconic during your time? Were you not iconic during your time? What was the other ones I've heard? You're a friend of, you're a full-timer, and it's all used derogatory, and it's kind of bullshit because honestly, you guys have your idea of what is the best housewives, right? And that's individual to all of you, but really, housewifedom is in the control of the production executives and Bravo, and Andy Cohen, and very little else. He could love a stinky housewife and they'll stay on forever, okay? And then you could have a great one and they get discarded because Andy doesn't like them or someone at the network thinks they're boring, whatever it is, different things. All right. For example, there's a housewife on Salt Lake right now. I swear the only reason she got on the show, besides that she was sort of in the friend group, was that she was dating an Osmond, and Andy Cohen's a huge fan of the Osmonds. That's simple, okay? So anyway, that said, I wanted to say that I don't think Alexis Bellino should have gone on The Real Housewives of Orange County in the capacity she did, knowing that Shannon Beador would be so hurt by it, and it was kind of like just a really grody thing to do. Frankly, she could have waited a season and probably still pulled it off, come on. I think they would have let her and she would have had like a little bit of a cooler environment, not so heated. But maybe they ultimatummed her, I don't know. So anyway, let's just say that I don't approve of that part. But I also don't think she should be put down by Emily Simpson because she's a friend of, because let me tell you, she's going through a living hell being on the show right now. So now let me show you what she posted. Okay. All right, here we go. Alexis Bellino said, I just want to let everyone know that what you're seeing in my career is not real. It's not the truth. There has been so much left out intentionally to paint me in a bad light. It's okay. I'll take one for the team to get ratings for this business. But I will live in the truth, and I will bring the truth, whether I have to do it here on my Instagram page or if this career I choose decides to bring the truth out. Either way, it will come out, and you will also see the true Alexis, because what you're seeing on TV right now is not me. I love you all, and I do not hate you for hating me, because I would hate me too if I were you, but just hang tight. I'll be speaking the truth after every episode of what has been left out intentionally to paint me as someone I don't even know. It will actually intrigue you all. Now, Vicki Gunvalson came for Alexis Bellino hard. She was like, look, you don't have a career. You're a friend of on Real Housewives of Orange County. You don't matter. All this crap. But anyway, back to that same blah, blah that everybody does. If she wants to see this as a career, she has every right to. Although, she's going to find out the hard way that she's probably with a guy who isn't very good, because she has a lot of chemistry with John Jansen, but he seems to have some patterns. And frankly, I wouldn't trust Shannon Beador's taste in men after David Beador. You guys know why. I mean, talk about the restraining order that was on and off and on and off, and him and Leslie have the most toxic relationship known to man. And then you've got John Jansen, who's got, awful stuff going on with his ex-wife, and their story isn't great. And then, you got what happened with Shannon Beador and all the crap he told her but didn't mean. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think Alexis Bellino is going to end up badly. And I don't want to even get into Jim Bellino because he'll sue me. We'll just leave it there. All right, I also want to give a big shout out to Piper, who gave me a wonderful tip to celebrate John Caden's birthday in Disney. Helped us do lots of extra fun stuff that we would normally have done, including buying the balloons. Did you guys know the balloons are $15 in Disneyland? My son's been dreaming of one of those balloons for years, and I'm always like, I'm not spending 15 bucks on a balloon. But because of Piper, we did this time for his 15th birthday. There's that did you know $15 balloon. We're living on top of each other, by the way. Look, there's a bed. There's my clothes. I'm in this bed. Like, it's crazy. There's John. He looks so cute. Look how tall he is. We went on the new ride, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That's Splash Mountain redone. Just so you guys know, I heard that gossip in Daily Mail that Club 33 is a cult. It is not a cult. I've been going to that restaurant with some of my older friends who are founding members of Disney. Yes. And it's not a club, a cult. I don't know what they're talking about. It's a really fun restaurant experience. And then they have lots of other fun perks, like they get to cut the line and stuff like that. But you could do that buying a tour. I don't know. There was somebody making a whole stink out of Club 33 being a cult. Really fun merch, too. I don't know why people were getting so upset. I love that place. As Disney-obsessed couple banned from ultra-exclusive Club 33 for public drunkenness despite spending $400,000 to retain membership. Maybe they're just pissed, and that's why they called it a cult. Oh, and you want to see something funny really quick, and then we'll move on. I wore my Did You Know 25,000 shirt. If you guys want to buy one, there's a whole bunch of different styles, by the way. You can click on the link in my description, and if you use the word Dana at checkout in the coupon code or the discount code, you get free shipping in the U.S., and I get a commission, so you can help me and get a cool shirt. And that goes for any of the Crystal shirts on the site. She has some really cool ones if you don't like my cheeky shirts like Did You Know 25,000. Oh, Jennifer Padranti finally told the story of how Tamra Judge was flirting with Ryan Boyajian before they came on the show at the gym. And she tells it in graphic detail to Jeff Lewis, who loves Jennifer Padranti.
Met Ryan is it at Cut Fitness? Yep. And so...
Isn't that the day that she flashed her tits?
Tamra was all about Ryan when he came. I'm not joking. I used to get calls like, where are you? Hot gym guy's here and hot gym guy's running without his shirt on. And I'm like, my world's falling apart. I don't care about hot gym guy. And then hot gym guy showed up with some girl and it was like, you got to come check out this girl he's with. And then Tamra would be like on a treadmill and Ryan would be out working out and she'd be like,
flashing.
But she had a sports bra on, but she would take her tank top and like this and she'd be like, what does it take to get this guy to like look at me? And like hot gym guy became like this distraction that we joked about, laughed about.
Motivation.
I'm like, I gotta put some lip gloss on at the gym today. Hot gym guy's there. It's funny. It's ironic.
It's ironic because tonight Tamra Judge's man and Eddie get into a fight that really makes no sense because they're both guilty of talking shit about each other and they try to kind of fight it, but it doesn't really work. And Ryan, I think, is still thinking like a person in real life on a show versus a reality star on a show. Because nothing has to make sense on reality TV, but often people will go on the shows and they think it does because they think it's like real life, and it isn't. Did you guys hear about this? This is about David Beador, too. He's really acting like a real winner. I think he's got mental health problems. I think he needs to talk to a professional. I'm not being shady. I mean that really. From the way that Leslie Beador describes his behavior, it's very bipolar sounding. Anyway, on the morning of February 4th, Newport Beach police pulled David over as he drove his Porsche 911. A few weeks later, the Orange County DA charged David with an infraction for driving unlawfully over 100 miles per hour and a misdemeanor for reckless driving. David was represented by Michael Fell, who is also Shannon's longtime lawyer. He pleaded not guilty, and his case was dismissed officially last week. I mean, the only thing I can imagine is they just didn't get proof that he was driving over 100, because how the hell do you get that dismissed? Michael Fell deserves a legal award for that one. Did you guys see this? Katie Ginella's past bankruptcy exposed. But to be fair, I don't know what the big deal is. She was a housewife with no real job, I guess, at this time. She was dating a project manager guy named Andrew. They had about $500,000 in debt, or $480,000, and they were very poor. They had only maybe $4,500 net income coming in, and they had, a very lower middle class lifestyle, and they still were drowning in $480,000 in debt. And then they filed for bankruptcy, and then she ends up, losing him, and she meets a new guy, and the new guy has wealth and money, and she's in a better position now. But I don't know, what's the big deal over this, frankly. I don't know. People are very judgy these days. And then on top of it, I guess Katie was called a Karen for doing something, and then I don't know, I didn't understand that one too much. And then there was another thing that she got sued for stealing an idea, with her partners over, I don't know, her golf line. I think I covered that already. Here it is. Real Housewives Orange County newcomer Katie Ginella sued for $5 million over alleged stolen business idea. Notice the key word in that sentence is implied contract, meaning there was no contract. All right, let's get into the recap for Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 18, Episode 11. Come on, baby. Come to mama. So in tonight's episode, there's a hot mic moment where we finally see that Heather Dubrow and Terry Dubrow argue, and they try to hide it to the producers and the cameras, but production doesn't allow it. They actually use it in the show anyway, and we hear them talking. Now, you've got to know that the producers know there's been rumors that Terry messes around, that there's been legal letters sent supposedly about all this stuff about Terry's reputation that Heather Dubrow's protecting. They probably know the drama that went down with Heather's assistant back in the old days. So, they're dying to out Heather. But doing it is difficult because of the way she operates. Now, let me play this for you.
Wait, don't, because he's going to tape it anyway, because he's got to open it to put your things on.
There he is.
Don't. Can't see him.
Can't say what?
Admonish me on camera. Don't do that. I don't like that.
Well, then don't talk over me. Let me talk.
It obviously wasn't on purpose. Don't admonish me.
Put the gown on you.
See? So I don't know if you guys heard this, but it came out what was wrong with Alexis Bellino on last week's episode when she was acting all erratic and weird. It was that she had just found out that John Jansen went from sending demand letters and trying to settle a potential lawsuit with Shannon Beador, which I guess was what was happening on the show, although that's not totally clear from us watching it, to an actual lawsuit and filing. And Alexis Bellino finds out at that moment, and she's, I guess, worried about that, how that's going to impact her on the show and with the women. And that's sort of a behind the scenes thing. We don't see any of that play out on camera. And also the women were really, really drunk because they had been there for hours and they had been drinking and drinking and drinking. So Terry Dubrow gets a nose job. I think it looks much better. They fixed his nose so he doesn't snore and straightened it out. And we see a scene with Heather Dubrow and him going through all that. It's kind of funny. And he's worried about Paul Nassif being angry that, he didn't get to do his nose job. And there's lots of jokes about that. Obviously, Terry is sensitive to Paul Nassif's feelings because they are on the show Botch together on E! And then we find out that Heather has a method to her madness. She hashes things out at least 3 times, and Terry calls that out so many times. She brings things up that Terry goes on to say that it's an ad nauseum. And he, I didn't know what that meant actually. And so I looked it up. It's an adverb referring to something that has been done or repeated so often that it has become annoying or tiresome. And so Terry, I guess, was saying, like, it's a lot. Heather doesn't let things go. And then they have a hot mic moment, which I played for you earlier. And that's where they have a disagreement. And then we see Ryan shopping at the vault for more cheesy clothing. The truth is Ryan is very cheesy. He wears painted on jeans, but it's kind of got the Orange County vibe. A lot of guys in OC are cheesy. Okay, so that we see that scene. Turns out that Eddie and Ryan, though, have similar taste in at least a black jacket. This is where things get heated, right? We find out that Eddie and Ryan are in a sort of off-camera fight. It all starts, of course, with Eddie and Tamara coming really hard for Ryan and Jennifer Padranti's relationship. And then Ryan starts to get the name of the game. So he's like, how can I attack Eddie and Tamara? And I think Ryan is probably a little bit of a narcissist, so he has no filter, which means like him and Tamara probably head to head a lot, right? Wink, wink. So what happens is Ryan says that Eddie is not a dude, which he's implying he's gay. And Eddie says Ryan is a scumbag, and all you have to do is Google him to know why. And it turns out that Tamra and Emily have heard that Ryan had a raid by the FBI, and Jennifer Padranti didn't know about the raid, which was really weird. And we find that in tonight's episode. And that is what eventually leads to him helping the FBI on this endeavor, because he's gambling with this guy in Vegas to make money, as well as being a real estate developer. And they make sure to have this scene where Katie Ginella's husband, the golf guy, asks Ryan what he does for a living. And Ryan goes on for like 45 minutes that he's like works from home and he's does mortgages for 15 years, but he's also a real estate developer on 7 properties. And he seems really nervous and he's going into too much detail, you know, and meanwhile, we know Emily and Tamara think he's like a professional gambler for a career. So the whole thing together is really wild. So this is the build up for this scene later. I'm kind of like jumping around a little bit, but it's more fun this way. So then we see Shannon Beador. She's talking to her daughter. Her daughter thinks guys in New York are gross. And she seems to be a little snotty. Shannon is like, you know, kind of puts her in her place a little, like, you know, relax. And then Shannon talks about how she's alone, but she doesn't mind. She's happier and she just needs her dog. And boy, do I get that. And then she says the tour was fun with Vicky, and she is very, very upset because during the episode, it comes out in People magazine that John Jansen's going ahead with the lawsuit, and it's a very embarrassing tabloid article that People drops, which is that Shannon, you know, borrowed money for a facelift, you know, calling out her facelift, calling out that she borrowed money, making her look like a liar because she always said that John didn't pay for everything. Like, it was really designed to make her look terrible. And then on top of it with the DUI and everything, she just looks like a mess. And so Shannon's crying hysterically, not to Tamara. She accidentally butt dials Tamara and she's crying, and Tamara listens, doesn't hang up, of course. And it's crazy. So Shannon, we all feel bad for. And that goes to a lawsuit. And Emily had spilled this, as I mentioned earlier in this video, on a podcast this week, that was what Bellino was upset about, really, at that Weird Truth or Dare evening they had. So there's that. We also see a little more of the bullshit between Heather Dubrow and Emily Simpson about, you know, Emily being upset about her weight and Heather not really doing anything, and Emily just not being able to have Heather listen to her, you know, feel for her, I guess, in that environment. Here's the article. And Shannon's like, Alexis definitely hired a publicist to make sure that People got the exclusive to cover it. And they sent the lawsuit, so it would be very, like, sided towards John Jansen. And I guess this is a tactic that the Bellinos used before in the lawsuit against Shannon. So she's 100% sure that this was like also a publicity stunt at the same time. And then Tamra says, of course, no, there's no way all tabloids pick up lawsuits. And Tamra would be right, except for the fact that it says right there, exclusive, which means they didn't just stumble upon it in the like court websites like tabloids do and cover it. They were given it. They were given it first and intentionally. So Shannon is right on this one. Tamra's wrong. And obviously Tamra was just trying to take Alexis's side to be different on a different team, you know, whatever. So then we're getting ready for Katie Ginella's dinner party, and Emily Simpson asks her young son what to bring, and he says pot. And for some reason that really bothered me because I really hate pot. I know all of you guys love pot, but I don't like it. It never has jived with me, and I hated hearing him say that, and I was like triggered by it. But a lot of people will think it's funny. Now, Gina Kirschenheiter has a scene with her ex-husband and his new girlfriend, and they're like engaged, and she seems really liking his girlfriend, and they're co-parenting really well. And we're seeing a very different Gina relationship with her husband, and it's just not toxic, and it's nice. And that was a nice scene. And she talks about how her and Travis are taking a step back. She clarifies what that wedding was in the backyard that I showed you guys on an earlier recap this season on my videos. She didn't actually really get married or even do a symbolic wedding. It was just a thing the kids wanted to do for them, which was kind of sad. I actually thought it might be a real wedding, and they just didn't tell everybody that they got married, you know? I mean, even though it was like kind of silly, I thought that was really sweet. I'm like, for once, a non-pretentious thing, you know, on one of these shows. But turns out it wasn't real and just was like a game the kids were playing. So we find that out. So then we go to Katie's dinner, and Gina and Heather don't go, but everybody else goes. I actually kind of liked the chemistry of that group. I didn't really miss Gina, Shannon, or Heather in that scene, oddly. So that's something to think about. But anyway, Tamra gets hammered, and we already know the producers warned her not to drink too much during the show. Well, she does. And she's basically getting liquid strength because she knows she has to call out a bunch of really difficult things to people. And so she's like getting drunk to do it. I know that's what's going on. And, you know, we know this is going to be a tough scene. Eddie and Ryan are already tense. Ryan's wearing, like, again, painted on jeans. Looked so weird. I couldn't even stop looking at his legs. It was so strange. He looked like an alien. And so this scene was tough for me to watch. I found it difficult because I know the stress that goes with doing that kind of a scene on the show. And I felt for Tamra in this scene that she had to bring it. You know, she did. And she did a great job. This is why she belongs on reality TV. And what she did was she called out everything on everybody. And then we finally get to the elephant in the room, as she says, and she calls out that Ryan talks smack about her and her husband on a podcast. They play it. It doesn't seem so bad. It just sounds like Ryan is kind of actually studying what the fans say about Tamra Judge and repeating it. Now, Tamra believes that Jennifer Padranti or Shannon Beador may have bought bots to attack her this season. And I thought about that, and it's funny because if that's true, then it would have been Ryan that would have bought those bots, because pretty much everything he's saying is what the fans are saying. So, but then I saw a bunch of people commenting underneath, and they were like, no, Tamra, sorry, we don't like you. You're unhappy, you're miserable, Tamra, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, these are real people, Tamra, I'm sorry. But I hope it makes you feel better that you think they're bots. So on Watch What Happens Live tonight, Tamra clarifies it wasn't really the podcast they played on the show that upset Eddie and her. It was that Ryan was posting lots of digs about her on his social media, implying Eddie was gay and all these other things. Tamara was like, Eddie knows who he is. Eddie doesn't have to yell or scream or do anything because he's solid in the kind of person he is. And that's it. And so that's their take or whatever. And anyway, there was some other stuff that was worked out at the dinner table. But of course, the big thing was the FBI bomb that Tamara threw out at Ryan. And she threw it out again tonight on Watch What Happens Live. So there you have it. One thing I didn't like about Tamara at the dinner was that she called out to Katie Ginella's husband that she, during Truth or Dare, saw Katie's butthole, trying to almost upset him. Like, I saw your wife's butt. And then she also implied that he might be a player and cheating on her and stuff. It was just weird and awful. And it did kind of play more into what Ryan was saying about Tamara, you know, that she's not nice sometimes, like unnecessarily. You know, I got, like probably everybody did, the fight that was happening between her and Ryan and Eddie, but why bring Katie into it and her husband? It was strange, and it just did make her look miserable. And that's pretty much what happened. I'm going to wrap it up because this was a long one. I hope you enjoyed today's gossip dump and recap, okay? And like and subscribe. And the hurricane isn't bad. It's just a tropical storm where I am. Yay!